Hey guys, it's my pleasure to share with you today how to do a no-smell natural farming piggery. There's a bunch of cool things we can talk about with animal husbandry and natural farming, feed formulation, density, and how to care for the well-being physically and even psychologically of your animals. But today we're just going to get into the simple build of a piggery, how to set it up, prepare your building, your floor, and get it all ready to house your pigs in the healthiest way possible. So if you're doing this on a commercial level or want to do this on a commercial level in, say, the US, you will need to do some regulation research as far as how to prepare your floor ahead of time. In Hawaii, this natural farming piggery is accepted as best practice. You line it with 40 mil plastic before you do everything I'm going to show you here today. However, you're going to have to look into what is okay for your area. You may need to have a concrete floor before you even begin any of this. So check it out. And but for the rest of you, if you're not dealing with government regulations in this, then I'm just going to show you that simple build, which is extremely effective and safe as far as water quality and runoff and all that. So you don't have to worry, you're not hurting anything by doing this. So the general philosophy that we're getting into as we do this natural farming piggery is that we're emulating a forest. We're emulating nature. So nature has a way of fully fermenting and taking care of all pig waste. You don't go into a forest and think, man, all that smells so bad. So the way the forest floor is kind of what a lot of this is based on. Just that observation of nature and preparing a piggery like a forest floor. All right, so first thing you want to do is prepare your building. Your building needs to be the size to house your pigs. As far as density, I'm not going to get into that right now. You're going to have to figure that out based on what your running size, or if you're having a breeding house, or just raising wean-offs. But once you've determined your size, generally speaking, you want to prepare to either have a 4-foot deep hole before the base of your pen, before the edge, or you want to have 4-foot walls that go up the sides of your piggery. So what I mean by that is we're going to put a bunch of material in here that is your floor, and you need to make sure that the base is prepared. So either a 4-foot wall or 4-foot deep hole for all this material we're going to put in. And then your walls. Here, I'll be showing you some pictures on what some examples of piggeries like this look like. However, you get to kind of come up with this on your own with what you can build and the materials you have available. So either dig down 4 feet and then your walls are going to be at ground level beginning, or you can have tin or wood rising up 4 feet to hold this living floor. This is really important because it is the whole purpose or point of a no-smell piggery. By creating a living floor, our pigs are not getting diseased, and also you don't have to deal with a bunch of pig waste. So once you have your floor prepared, you want to think about your building and your roof. Now, if you're in a temperate environment or you have cold winters, you're going to want to consider having the ability to close in your piggery for winter so that you can regulate that heat, help your pigs stay warm. If you're in tropical environment, you never have to worry about the cold, then you really can create the sides however you want, and then you really need to just worry about the roof. All right, here we're going to talk about the roof of the no-smell piggery. This is very important. So, the roof of the no-smell piggery is set up to have a interconnection where there's a gap in between the one north-facing side and the other south-facing side. So you see that gap there. That vent is called a ridge vent, and it is really important for establishing airflow. So one of the two sides of the roof are a little bit higher and overlapping the other side. The side that's bigger or higher is always your north-facing side of your roof. The other side, the shorter side, the smaller side, is your south-facing. Your roof's makeup is also very important. Each roof is designed to be 7 shade 3 light. So what that means is if you have 10 panels going across your roof face, that 7 of them are going to be shade and 3 of them are going to be light. See that? So if you're using tin, you'd have 7 solid tin panels and 3 clear plastic panels. However you create that environment, this is important for the microbial life in your living floor. So 7 shade, 3 light, really important principle for your roof. So we have the vent, which as this heats, if it's tin, as this heats, it creates a convection. So down below, you have a venting system, or if it's closed for winter, and it's able to pull in the cooler air down below, and it vents out that top ridge vent as the hot roof creates a convection current inside your piggery. So if it's a tropical environment and you have just wire mesh walls or something with your supports, that's still going to be an important convection that's created that will promote airflow in your piggery. And you get a bunch of pigs together, airflow is super important. Though it's not going to be crazy stinky because we're creating a living floor. So the roof stays on, but I'm going to remove it so that you can see what I'm doing. All right, so we have our building created, and the first step after we have our 4 foot of area prepared, I say 4 foot. It's the best to create a 4 foot area. In Hawaii, the regulations for a natural farming piggery through the USDA is allowable for a 3 foot living floor. And that works. You can have a 3 foot floor. However, if you're running high density and you get into, a lot of pigs creating a lot of waste, 3 foot might not be sufficient for a long-term piggery. So you make a choice. Long-term, 4 foot's far better than a 3 foot living floor. All right, so guess what our first ingredient for our living floor is? This is a giant log. I know it looks small in my hands, but let's imagine that this piggery is pretty big that we're creating here. So first thing is to get a bunch of large logs almost as big as the entirety of your piggery, if possible. The bigger the better. And we want to create a layer of logs. This could be a layer anywhere from 1 to 2 feet high of large logs. It's important that they're large because if you have a big boar or a sow in there and they find an edge of one of these logs when they dig down, you don't want them to be able to dislodge them or lift them up. You want them to be kind of an immovable part of your floor. So get a nice healthy layer of big logs established on your living floor. All right, logs are in place. The next layer is about a foot to a foot and a half of wood chips or mulch. Now, if you were in the tropics and you had some banana leaves, you could lay down kind of a green layer to keep these from falling into your logs as fast. But you can also just use extra wood chips and let these fall into all the cracks, and that's fine too. So fill your piggery with your 1 foot of mulch or wood chips. Next comes 2 to 3 inches of soil. It's helpful for your soil to be evenly distributed across your whole floor. At this point, it's a great idea to inoculate with your IMO4. You don't need a ton of IMO4. We're going to use about our standard rate, which is 330 pounds per quarter acre. In here, you're dealing with, if you have like a 10 by 10, you're dealing anywhere between 2 and 5 gallons by volume, or 20 liters, something like that. Make sure you have a thorough dusting, a light dusting of your IMO4. And you can do a little bit of the IMO4 in each layer. So you could do it with the wood chips and then the soil. If you wanted to spread it throughout, that's fine. We're just seeding our floor with living microbes that will get established using all that carbon material, that wood, and then all the nitrogen that the pigs are going to be producing. All right. Next, you want about 2 to 3 inches of fine wood material like sawdust, or if you don't have that, you can use straw. So if you use straw, you don't want it to be huge long pieces of straw. Try and chop it up. So 2 inches is recommended. So you could use 2 to 3 inches of straw. Here I'm going to use sawdust. And that 2 to 3 inches covers your whole piggery floor evenly. So you're going to have to do a little calculating to figure out how much you need for what size piggery you're creating. All right. If it was me, I might save a little IMO4 to top dress right on top of my sawdust as well. In the midst of doing all of this, you can do it with your soil or top dress with the sawdust. You want a little bit of charcoal, biochar if possible. And for charcoal, you want for about 40 square feet, you want about 1 kilogram or 2 pounds. So in like a 10 by 10 pen, you would have about 2.5 kilograms or 5.5 pounds. So that's biochar. So you can put that in with the soil, which I probably would do a little of both. So put in your charcoal. The other thing you want is 0.3% salt. In a 10 by 10, 0.3% salt is about, what is it? 2 gallons by volume. So that would be something like the size of this for a 10 by 10, maybe 2.5 gallons in a 10 by 10 pen. So it's 0.3% by volume of your kind of wood chip, soil, and sawdust layer. And I would incorporate these wherever you're incorporating your IMO. All right, we got our charcoal, our salt, our sawdust or straw, if that's what you're using. We got our soil, our IMO4, our wood chip or mulch layer, and our big log layer. Our floor is ready to go. If you want, optionally, you can activate or spray your floor with a little LAB and FPJ and some water. So that would be 1 to 500 FPJ and 1 to 1,000 LAB. And you can just spray that in there. That's also something you can use once in a while, just to spray the pen. If you got a little bit of a smell because they're going in one spot, you could spray a little LAB and that'll take care of it right away. All right. You could use straw if you needed to. Next is our pigs. Whether your pigs are pink or black or a mix of both, this will work. Doesn't matter your variety. One of the principles in natural farming is in your watering dish, wherever you position it, you position your feeding trough at the opposite end of your pen. This is so that in a enclosed environment, your pigs have maximum incentive to move back and forth across your pig pen. Also, with your watering trough, you really want to make sure that they can't make a mess with that. So however you set up your watering trough, this is extremely important because of this living floor, that any splashing they do, you set it up that it travels, it takes the water they create or splash with outside of the pen. So create a drainage system on the side, or make it so they can't create extra water. however you set up your watering trough, you want to make sure that they can't create a wet spot. Excessive water with them playing in it could create a little bit of a funky environment where you will get some degree of smell or flies. Otherwise, this will be a smell-free, fly-free environment. But if you do your water wrong, you could run into some problems. So this can be a grow out piggery that you've created, where you have a bunch of pigs and you're just growing them to weight. You have a bunch of individual paddocks like this. That's what I would recommend, that you create individual paddocks, and then you can have them all sized appropriately, and your feed will make more sense as you're feeding them in the right amounts for their size. But if you're doing a breeding environment where you have a sow and you're doing babies, one trick or tip I could give you is to set up a corner where the there's a fenced off corner. And in that corner you might put a heat lamp, my awesome heat lamp here. You might put a heat lamp of some sort. So that your piglets aren't sticking right on mom for heat, because they like being warm and with mom, but sometimes moms can be huge and piglets are small, and she can hurt them by rolling over on them. So one thing you can do is set up a little corner with some sort of heat lamp, so that your pigs can go through, your piglets can get right under, but mom can't. And what that does is it creates an environment where they can go and rest while mom's not feeding them, and stay warm and be totally safe from mom rolling over on them, because she's big enough she can roll over and kill them. So that's just an option. And that there is how you do a no-smell natural farming piggery. We'll get into feed creation and some other details in regards to natural farming husbandry with pigs, but that's how you create your piggery. Make sure you take some time and think out your roof. The shorter part is the south-facing part, and the taller part is your north-facing part. And that gap right there is your convection vent. And then you have your 7 light, 7 shade, and 3 light. Awesome, guys. Shoot me some pictures. My email's down in the description of the video. I would love to see what you come up with and how you're raising pigs using this natural farming technology. See you guys. This is a setup for like a 2-pig operation. So you have your gate. We got to install the water system, but deep floor was dug in, the logs were placed in the ground, a bunch of wood chips, and just kind of whatever you can get. This is some rough cut wood, pinned to some hog panel, and we have our one bit of light so that we get some light access to our floor. The idea is 7 shade, 3 light as a general rule. Yeah, and lots of airflow, and the inoculated living floor, some galvanized roof panels for the siding. Just kind of simple way you can do a natural farming piggery on a small scale. Here's an example of a larger version of that piggery. You could set it up slightly differently, but just the idea of the gap in the roof, the living floor, the pig's super happy with it. This mama's getting ready to give birth. Hey mama. Yeah, got your water set up. It's really key to have your overflow of your water draining away out of the piggery. That's just a simple tray to help facilitate that so you don't create a wallow right there.